So that's basically the contrasting states of being present versus being in a reactive pattern.
Now, a question on that. So, say someone is present in the moment and they're curious about what is actually happening here truthfully, as opposed to what they think might happen from their past experience. So now they're in this moment of being in a free state, and suppose they feel an immense amount of pain, emotional pain, that they've always tried to shut down or react to before or defend themselves against. How can you step them through allowing this pain or joy to come up and be in the moment?
That goes back to authenticity in a way, because if you're really willing to stand naked at any moment, old pain that really is about the situation in the moment, all of it is accessible to us. So we don't know what we're going to feel. And then the question becomes, is this old pain? Is this joy that I've experienced before? Is this just joy of right now? Is this pain of right now? And your awareness starts to sort all that out. It gets easier and easier. Oh, this is the joy I'm feeling being right here in this moment.
And then the next step, what about looking at how you label then the situation? How do you find that people then try to conceptualize what just happened to them or analyze it? What would happen next typically that you might see?
That is an excellent question, because typically when we have these insights with our awareness, we start to, the mind starts to classify it. Oh, every time I'm angry, it's pattern. Well, no, wrong. You have to stand fresh and new in every moment, because the ego mind tends to hijack everything we experience in free awareness and make a concept or an idea or a rule about it. So every time I'm angry doesn't mean that I'm in pattern. I have to feel into that anger every time I'm angry. What is this anger? I have to ask myself every single time, fresh and new, as if I've never been angry in my whole life. It's the only way to discern. And once again, in this work, we have to trust everyone's awareness to sort things out. There aren't any teachers in this work. It's peer process. So I would be asking the angry person, does this feel old to you? Or does this feel like it was appropriate for the situation? And then tell me about that anger a little bit more. Where did that take you? Did it take you down the rabbit hole into the old pattern, or did it take you into fresh feelings that even though they were uncomfortable, they felt relevant to the situation and they felt authentic?
And before, you've mentioned to me about the more moments of authenticity that you really have, the more you can start to connect them so that your sustainability becomes so strong that you're constantly living in a state of authenticity where you don't go back to your old behavioral patterns that came from childhood or adolescence or even adult new experiences.
Yes.
How can you express how to sustain this feeling?
That is absolutely right. And that is what we work for. We start with these incidents where pattern gets triggered. And then we move on, because now we start to build awareness that, oh, so-and-so is going to trigger an old pattern I have. And I know to expect that being around that person. But let's just say then, over and over, I get this sense of, oh, I'm going to be around John again, so I have to really work hard on being present. So here comes John, and I have to really ground myself. So that then I get to experience being present with John, or more present with John, even if I can't go all the way. But over time, as you're saying, you build a sustainability. And John becomes the teacher in the room, basically. So that every time that I'm around John and I can be relaxed and present and open to whatever is there to be experienced, that I know that I have some sustainable presence, because John always gets me.
Now, speaking of our friend John, what happens if they choose to not adapt to this present moment that is before them? You know, now that their friend is reacting to them in a whole new, fresh way, that must throw John off a little bit.
It throws John off big time, and it's really work for John to stay in John's part of the old interactive pattern now, because there's nobody on the other end to play it out with. So poor John, either he now is at a choice point himself. He's got to be present in the moment, because that's where the connection is going to be. We're not going to be connecting, so to speak, through the old pattern. And that's not really connecting anyway. It just feels mechanical. We're just each going through our old patterned roles, and we all know where this is going to end up. But if John is willing to move into the connection in the moment, we get to start fresh and new with one another. I may not like John any more than I ever liked John, but I experience him differently. I just don't experience him in reaction any longer. I think everybody has a John in their life.